Hello everyone, and welcome to our Talk and Play podcast where we talk about serious things and not so serious things while we play video games.
Yes, and we are your financial advisors for today, because we're going to be talking about, I don't even know how we got to this, but talking about finances and how ridiculous it is what they expect us to save and spend our money on compared to how much we make.
So, without further ado, let's blow your knowledge load.
Alright, let's get this financial course on the road here.
So the reason why this got brought up is that we were planning on doing an episode on living within your means, because not everybody makes the same amount of money, and so different people can afford to do different things. But then we started looking at what banks and financial advisors expect you to do, and we kind of just went, well, we're really behind the game.
Like, wow, okay.
So
everybody's a bunch of daddy warbucks out there, I guess.
We're gonna kind of talk in terms of Canada, just because, well, that's where we're from.
That's where the greatest nation on earth is, so.
It's a great day for Canada, therefore
it's a great
the world. It's the greatest South Park reference, in my opinion. Ooh. So, anyways, the first thing that we looked up was what is your average wage of a Canadian? The average wage is about $3,500 a month, $54,000 a year. That's not net. That's gross or gross, depending on how much you make.
That's so gross.
And
yeah, so I don't know what that is in freedom dollars. More
$2.
Yeah, so like that's 54,000 Canadian, so that's like $10 American.
Yeah, something like that.
So
and like 3 million in pesos.
Yeah.
What do I need this for?
Blow stuff up.
Go down, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah. There's a fasty boy down here. Blow him up.
Woo!
So yeah. So that's the average, and then we just kind of went down, I guess you could say, a rabbit hole as we started asking more questions. We're like, well, then what's this? So, we found out, okay, what's the average amount that people make? And then we're looking at, okay, well, how much do they expect people to... Oh, you gotta kill those guys.
Oh, do I?
Yeah. I did the same thing on this one.
Yeah, so it's like your average living expenses based on... Okay, so that's like $2,400 a month that you... No.
You gotta kill that guy.
Oh.
Yeah, so when we were looking it up, we're like, okay, so the average that you're making a month net. So that's what you're taking home. About $3,400 a month. Okay, so then we started thinking, okay, well, what's kind of what we consider... You gotta kill those guys, Dustin.
I know, I've given up.
Yeah, fair enough. So we kind of thought, well, what's your bare minimum stuff that you need to buy per month? Kind of for the average person, like, without kids. I mean, if you have kids... Good luck.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Oh, no. Oh.
You get it back, I think? I think there's another one up top. So we started looking into that, and, we look at the average rent that we are paying, where we live in Calgary. And, what our average grocery bills were, and, then you have your internet bill, you have your cell phone bill, you have,
in our final number, we also didn't take anything that wasn't absolutely necessary, like car payments and car insurance. We didn't deem that as necessary because you can take transit. Do I go left or right?
Left, I think. I think right loops you back around. Yeah, so unnecessary thing, like, student loans. Some people are still paying off student loans, and a lot of people may not have student loans, like, oh, well, now you've done it. Now you've done it. So, you have people, like adults, who probably don't have student loans anymore. They're already paid off, or maybe they didn't have student loans. So, like, take that back down. Like, there's a bunch of things that we didn't include in this number. So, bare minimum, we're talking, like, food, rent, I consider internet to be a bare minimum.
Yeah, I do too. I kill myself.
Yeah. So we figured about like $2,400 a month. Bare minimum stuff here.
Okay. Yeah. So that leaves you with $1,000 after your bare minimums, right?
And this is like, again, if you have loans to pay off, you have credit card bills to pay off, you've got car insurance, you have car payments, you've got life insurance, you have, healthcare, all this other stuff. If you have any of that, that now comes out of that $1,000, and probably a good chunk of that $1,000 is going to go to all these numbers.
Now for the next part. This is the part where we both went, these guys...
Okay, so we'll include this one on the screen, but go ahead.
Yeah, so $50,000 average.
For this example, $50,000, we're going to say that people are making a year.
By the time you are 30, you are expected to have $50,000 in your bank account. So if you came out of college, university, whatever, instantly started making $5,000, that means that you are putting about $6,500 a month or a year into savings. That doesn't account for time being laid off. That doesn't account for extenuating circumstances or emergencies. That doesn't account for your need to buy a car. That doesn't account for if you buy a house. It doesn't account for any of these things.
And we were also assuming that you went to university right at 18 and you graduated within 4 years with a degree.
Yeah.
These were the assumptions that we made to get to this savings amount that you're supposed to have by 30.
And these savings amounts, from what we can tell, are also based on what you need to retire with. We were kind of discussing that. I think we thought about it. If you started at age 22 and every 5 years, so every 5 years after the age of 30, they expect that you put away your full salary into a bank account. So if you're still making $50,000, by 35 you should have $100,000. By 40 you should have $150,000. So by the time you retire, you have about $400,000 in your bank account. And we started wondering, is this even a feasible thing while also having a life?
Yeah. So we're saying, for me, okay, I am still paying off student loans, which, I mean, thank God I am almost done paying off. But, that's still like $400 a month that I'm paying for student loans. Then you have car payments, you have car insurance. I'm putting, you got money putting away into savings, so that's part of that other number. But, I play volleyball, so that costs money. I like going out with friends, going out for drinks with friends, so you do that. That's like, $40 to $60 each time you go out. You want to do anything. You want to travel. You want to go for a trip. You want to do anything.
Yeah.
That all comes out of that money that you're expected to just put away. So that it's almost like they're assuming that you are literally doing nothing other than eating, sleeping, working, and saving.
Until you're 65 years old.
Until you're 65, and then you can retire and maybe survive.
That is not a realistic expectation at all. And from what I can tell, they did not account for any sort of children, obviously, or even a marriage. My God.
Or a house? Buying a house? Like, they're not accounting for any of this stuff.
My wedding has cost $37,000. And where does that come from?
Yeah, where's that coming from? That savings that I don't have?
I think it's so funny because in 2 months we're not supposed to be, we will be 30 years old. And I look at my bank account.
Well, we're supposed to be 30. I don't know if I'm going to be 30.
A little behind here. And it blows me away. Like, okay, let's go back to the average being like that $3,400 a month. $2,400 a month in your base necessities. You have car payment and insurance on top of that. Maybe you're looking at about $2,900 a month with $500 extra. What about your friends want to go for drinks? Maybe you go out twice a month, or you go on a date, or you have like me, a almost wife. And you have your date nights or whatever. That's your entire check. It's gone. How do you add kids into that?
I honestly, you people that have kids, yeah, exactly. It's always funny. You talk about parents and they're real freaking troopers because they always find a way to make it work. But you're like, how? How do you make how? Oh well, that's just okay. How do you make it work? I don't get it, you people.
Yeah, I don't know. And looking at these stats has me a little stressed out right now.
oh my god, my life is falling apart.
Because I'm getting married, everything's gonna change. I'm gonna have kids, and I don't have that money. But seriously, like, to know by the age of 30, in 3 months from now, that we should have our full wage.
Yeah.
Our full yearly wage in our bank account is just mind-blowing to me. I don't know how you'd ever do it. Yeah. Going back to what the video should have been, living within your means. Yeah, you absolutely should live within your means. But that doesn't mean never doing anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And just, you know, taking bus and transit for 45 years of your life while you go work your cubicle job.
Yeah, it's a little
hard.
It's a little unrealistic. Yeah, it is kind of hard. Now, I mean, we're really simplifying things, obviously, because I mean, you know, when we're talking about savings, you know, you're putting money into RSPs, well, you're getting interest on that, so you know the amount that you're putting in, you're actually making more than just that money you're putting in. So like, okay, yes, you're getting extra money out of that, but still, it's kind of a scary thing to think about when, like, what these people think you should have.
Put your money away, we're all gonna die.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody can live. Put your money away.
I honestly, like, this has effectively stressed me out. As if I wasn't already having a midlife crisis.
Yeah, tell me.
So here we go. Yeah, so, I mean, is this reasonable?
I don't know. I have a hard time believing it is. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there that are able to do it, of course. But maybe not a lot of people. I mean, and that's just like, I mean, this is all averages. Obviously, there's some people who make more. There are some people who make less. So, oh, cool.
It's just fat for no reason.
Yeah. Okay, that's neat. Yeah. So I mean, some people probably aren't even able to put that much money away. Some people can put up, you know, considerably less.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is, okay, we talk about living within your means. So you're looking at, okay, let's say you make below and you are clearing $38,000 a year, and now your life has drastically changed, because I do believe that you need to do things to be happy, like hanging out with friends or going on little trips, whatever within your means. If you have to do a road trip, that's perfectly fine. But then there's the other part of it. Okay, what do you sacrifice now? And I always think back to when we were in university, and
where we sacrificed food for alcohol.
That's true. I still don't know how we survived. Like, we had $2,000 a month. And how much was our rent? $1,200. $1,400. So $600 between the two of us.
You did the exact same thing.
We were somehow able to party and eat sometimes for the entire month. And to this day, I have no idea how we did that, because I think about my expenses now, and just like, my expenses now equal like double what we were.
Oh, easily, yeah.
What we were spending back then.
Yep.
Oh no! This is hard.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about. Then, like, based on we're talking about that, and then we were also don't get too close to those fire. It also kind of led us into kind of thinking about like the housing crash, like when the house bubble popped back in was it 2008, like in the States,
yeah, and
like the housing market just crashed and everybody got absolutely effed, and now all of a sudden everybody is broke and in debt because their house is all of a sudden worth nothing. So all this money that they paid for it, they just essentially lost. Oh, it's a scary thing, and I think it is. I may be wrong on this, but I thought that was kind of one of the reasons that caused the Great Depression, is that the banks were just giving out loans to anybody, regardless if they could afford.
I think it was.
Regardless if they could afford the payments or anything, and they were just giving them all these loans, and then nobody could make the payments on it. Oh, big surprise! And then so nobody could pay the banks back. Banks are foreclosing all these houses, taking them back. They're losing all this money because now, they're not making the money that they loaned out to these people. And now everybody's broke. And it just, I don't know, it just seems, everything seems irresponsible and unrealistic the way that I see it.
going back to house, I want to specifically tie that to living within your means. I cannot tell you guys how many times I've had a conversation with somebody who they get a raise at work or they get a new job where they're making more money. So they're like, I can afford more now. And they'll end up, okay, well, I've saved up the money for a down payment or whatever they need to do, get that down payment. And all of a sudden, they're house poor. So they buy this house. Their house is $2,500 a month in mortgage. They're barely able to make the payments, but they're happy because they have this big house, even though they can't do anything. Guys, that's not living within your means. Living within your means...
Dustin.
Fuck. I need to live within my means.
Yeah, live within your means, Dustin.
Living within your means doesn't mean spending all of your...
Yeah, you don't have to spend 100% of your money and then be like, oh yeah, I'm living within my means.
Oh, that's cheap.
I wouldn't consider that spending 100% of your money without putting into savings is living within your means.
No.
Because now you're not getting ahead. Because what's going to happen after you retire? All of a sudden now you can never retire because you're not putting any money away. You're spending 100% of the money you're making.
And what happens if you have something happen? Like you, okay. Oh, you son. So you lose your job, or let's say your car... why did I jump? You lose your car, or your car breaks down, or you lose your job, or whatever have you, and now this mortgage that you could barely afford, you're all of a sudden $500 short for.
Yeah.
What do you do?
That's when people just go into debt. Like, they have to declare bankruptcy.
Yeah, and like, or they'll put it on their credit card, but then because they can't, they can barely afford their house, now they never pay that credit card off, the interest compounds, then their car breaks down again, and then they have to do the exact same thing, and then all of a sudden, you're $500,000 in debt.
Yeah, and you're not getting any payments you're making on your credit card, you're basically just paying off interest.
Yeah.
So you're not getting ahead then. Oh, honestly, it's stressful thinking that some people have to go through that.
I don't even have a credit card.
What?
Yeah. I haven't had a credit card in 9 years.
Get out of town.
My first credit card I got when I was 18, and going back to our whole don't stay in school episode, which you should go watch, where, you know, they don't teach you financial advice or anything like that. I had no idea. It was just like,
yeah. And that's why we are here, to give you financial advice.
And to try and make it big on YouTube, because realistically, guys, like, we're broke.
Yeah, we can't afford
so
anything.
So we really need the attention here.
This is it.
No, but honestly, it took me forever to pay down the credit card. It was only $2,000, but back then I was only making $17 an hour. So it took me a long time to pay it down. So after I paid it down, I canceled our credit card, I cut it up, and that was the end of it. And yeah, so I don't know how people can constantly live on that bubble of debt.
It's scary to think about that some people do. And I mean, when you're living paycheck to paycheck, and it's not like we haven't done that before. Like back when we were in university, that's what we did. But I wouldn't say that we were doing it irresponsibly. Like, oh, well, I'm making more money now. All of a sudden, I need to spend all that money.
Yeah, no, save it. So you can afford something more lavish in the future. Because you save that money, and you know you put away maybe $80,000 in the bank, which apparently to the source you can do in like 6 months.
Yeah, no problem. Everybody just has $50,000 that they can just put away. And just...
You know, you save up for maybe 5 years. Now you've brought down the cost on that house that you were planning on buying. You have lower monthly payments. You financially did something good.
God, the angles on this doesn't work. I have to set those up, I think.
And then, yeah, so you wind up in the positive. And that's the whole thing with, you know, living in your means also adjusting your lifestyle based on your...
Yeah, that's a problem too, is that people just will refuse to adjust their lifestyle to fit the amount of money that they make.
It's like, yeah, but I really like expensive stuff. I mean, it's like, Becky, the streets don't give a shit about what you like.
Yeah, do you also like eating and having a roof over your head?
Because you're not going to have it.
Yeah, it's kind of not sounding to me like you do.
Yeah, like, but I only like Prada bags, or a guy that, you know, has to buy a new video game every week, or, I'm very guilty of that. But I live within my means. I'll never do it if I'm short on cash a month. Like, if I haven't put as much money into my savings as I want to, I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah.
And I get super nervous when I don't have a nest egg.
Oh, no, absolutely.
It stresses me out.
If I don't have X amount of dollars in my account, I'm like, I am poor.
Yeah.
I may still have, like, actually a decent amount put away, where, like, a lot of, other people would think, oh, yeah, no, I've got lots of money. But then, to me, just because I've always been worried about being, I've always been good with my money, and I've always worried about, well, what if something happens? What if something comes up and I don't have the money? What if this? What if that? So I've always been worried to drop below that because I don't feel comfortable not having enough money to cover the unexpected.
What's your number?
None of your damn business.
Okay. Mine's 2,500. I don't like seeing it go below 2,500 in my savings.
That's fair.
Because 2,500 will cover like a major car expense or anything like that.
Well, for me, it was like, if I get in a car accident or my car breaks down, I need to be able to buy a decent new, well, not new, but used car.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like 5,000.
Okay.
So I've like I've made sure that, I go right.
I was just trying to stress you out.
Well, it worked. Woo! So it's just like, once I hit that point, I made sure I didn't drop below it. Because, to me, having less than that means that if something were to come up, I could go broke.
Yeah.
And that's a scary thing.
Yeah, I've never understood how people can just spend their money on the stupidest things. Like, I've seen people are like, I'm broke. And it's like, how much did you spend on that tattoo that you just got 3 months ago? Oh, $1,500. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, well, I wonder why you're broke, yeah.
What are you thinking?
Especially when you have, like, kids, too. And you're like, you do all these things, and when somebody else is counting on you, and you're like, well, you don't get to eat because I needed this new whatever.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I can't feed you.
I've met parents like that before, and it drives me nuts.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how people can be that irresponsible. And I mean, not everybody has, like, the money sense. They don't have that. They're not, I don't know, not aware, don't care. I don't know what it is, but they just don't have the sense to be able to budget their money and keep themselves in a good place.
How do I?
You gotta jump on his head. Same as before. But, like, really on his head.
No!
Yeah, well.
Alright.
Anyways, we're gonna leave her off there, and, let me know how much you guys make.
And send us your social insurance number.
Yes.
Your credit card. Don't forget the 769.
Damn. I mean, we're still recording there, at least.
Oh, okay.
Well, anyways.
Okay, bye.
We're not gonna finish that thought, just see you later.
Bye.
Goodbye.